Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Thailand's newly elected Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul takes office after receiving royal endorsement. Massive protest in Washington, D.C. to oppose Trump's troop deployment. Chicago braces for expanded ICE enforcement. In US Open final, Sinner and Alcaraz set for high-stakes showdown in New York. In women's singles, Sabalenka retains her crown. And in Hockey Asia Cup, India thrashed China 7-0 in the final Super Fours encounter, set up summit clash versus South Korea. Anutin Charnvirakul, leader of the conservative Bhumjathai party, was formally endorsed as Thailand's 32nd Prime Minister by King Maha Vajiralongkorn on Sunday, 2 days after securing a resounding 311 to 152 parliamentary victory over Theus High's Chai Kasem Nitisiri. Charnvirakul knelt in homage at his party's headquarters before paying respects to family. He also urged national unity to enforce the law strictly and advance economic recovery amid a weak tourism sector and border tensions with Cambodia. His ascent following Petongtan Shinawat's August 29 court dismissal for ethics violations in a leaked Cambodia call hinged on a pact with the Progressive People's Party for a constitutional referendum and dissolution within 4 months, potentially triggering April-May 2026 elections. Thaksin Shinawat, who fled to Dubai pre-vote, vowed a September 8 return for a Supreme Court hearing on his parole, which could see him re-jailed if his hospital stay is invalidated. Now, US President Donald Trump threatened to wage war against Chicago on Saturday as his administration large-scale immigration raids loomed over the city. Trump alluded to immigration raids in Chicago in a Truth Social post that echoed the movie Apocalypse Now. His post said Chicago is about to find out why it's called the Department of War. The post comes 1 day after he changed the name of the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Earlier, Trump said that he would also deploy National Guard troops to fight crime in Chicago. Meanwhile, the Chicago area is bracing for additional immigration enforcement over the weekend. In Chicago, the demonstrators gathered to voice anger at possible deployment of troops in the city. Democratic Governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker, on Tuesday stated that he thought ICE raids would take place during the Mexican Independence Day celebrations this weekend and the following weekend. Due to concerns about immigration raids, a few Mexican events in Chicago region were cancelled or postponed. ICE has not responded to requests for comment on whether it sent more agents to Chicago. Norwegians are set to vote on Sunday and Monday in a nail-biter parliamentary election, pitting Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Store's Labour-led left bloc against a surging right-wing alliance of the anti-immigration Progress Party and Conservatives. Latest polls show Labour at 27% support, poised for 50 seats, while FRP polls at 21% for 40 seats, up 19 from 2021. The left bloc edges ahead at 51% of votes or 88 seats versus the right's 81, but smaller parties like Surging Greens with 10 seats could tip the balance on climate and Gaza divestment from $2 trillion wealth fund. Economy, taxes and energy exports dominate the polls, with record 47.2% early voting turnout, signaling high stakes for Europe's gas supplier. The results are expected Monday night. Demonstrators also take to the streets of Washington, D.C. to protest Trump's policies, in particular the deployment of National Guard troops in the capital. Protesters at the We Are All D.C. march, who included undocumented immigrants and supporters of Palestine, chanted slogans denouncing Trump and carried posters, some which read "Trump must go now," "Free D.C." and "Resist Tyranny." It is unclear when their mission will end, though the Army this week extended orders for the DC National Guard through November 30th. Now, Air Canada flight attendants overwhelmingly rejected a wage agreement on Saturday. About 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants have voted down the employer's wage offer that the union and airline agreed to last month. Flight attendants at Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge voted 99.1% against ratifying the company's wage offer. The wage portion will now be referred to mediation, and if no agreement is reached at that stage, to arbitration as previously agreed to by both sides. However, the flight operations will continue as agreed by Air Canada and the Canadian Union of Public Employees last month. Negotiators struck a tentative deal on August 19 to end a 4-day strike that stranded 500,000 passengers after flight attendants defied Canadian government efforts to end the strike, and the country's largest carrier was forced back to the bargaining table. Brazil is celebrating its Independence Day today. Earlier, in a televised address to the nation on the eve of Independence Day, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva defended the nation's sovereignty while denouncing politicians he described as traitors. His comments follow efforts by allies of former President Jair Bolsonaro to push for harsher foreign sanctions on Brazil and advocate for a controversial bill in Congress that would grant amnesty to individuals convicted for January 8, 2023 attacks on government institutions.
We are not and will never again be anyone's colony. We are capable of governing and caring for our land and our people without interference from any foreign government. We maintain friendly relations with all countries, but we do not accept orders from anyone. We will resist any attempt to undermine democracy. The role of some Brazilian politicians who encourage attacks on Brazil is unacceptable. They were elected to serve the Brazilian people, but they only defend their own interests. They are traitors to the nation. History will not forgive them.
At least 63 people were killed by jihadists in northeastern Nigeria while storming a town whose residents had been returned from a displacement camp. The Friday night assault struck the town of Darul Jamal, which hosts a military base on the Nigeria-Cameroon border, in a zone ravaged by jihadist attacks. Babagana Zulum, governor of the embattled Borno state, said that 5 soldiers were among the dead. While jihadist violence has waned since the peak of the Boko Haram insurgency from 2013 to 2015, militants including rival Islamic State West African province continue to launch attacks across rural areas in the northeast. Well, updates from West Asia now. The new head of the U.S. military Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, concluded his first visit to Israel in the role on Saturday. The IDF, in a statement, said the visit of CENTCOM head was focused on operational cooperation between the Israeli military and the U.S. military, maintaining regional stability in both nearby and distant arenas and strengthening joint efforts to address the challenges and threats in the region. Cooper was appointed in early August to lead CENTCOM, the U.S. military command responsible for the Middle East. Meanwhile, thousands of Israelis rallied in Tel Aviv on Saturday night, issuing direct appeals to U.S. President Donald Trump to force an end to the Gaza conflict and secure the release of the hostages. Protesters packed a public square outside the military headquarters, waving Israeli flags and holding placards with images of the hostages. There is growing despair among many Israelis as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the military to capture a major urban center where hostages may be held. Families of the hostages and their supporters fear the assault on Gaza City could endanger their loved ones. Tel Aviv has witnessed weekly demonstrations that have grown in size, with protesters demanding that the government secure a ceasefire with Hamas to obtain the release of hostages. There are 48 hostages held in Gaza. Israeli officials believe that around 20 are still alive. All right, news just coming in. Japan's public broadcaster NHK on Sunday reports that Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has decided to step down. So this is the breaking news that we are tracking here. Public broadcaster NHK said Ishiba made the decision to avoid a split within the ruling Liberal Democratic Party. Ishiba's LDP-led coalition lost its upper house majority in an election in July. So Japan's public broadcaster NHK reports that Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba has decided to quit. He has decided to step down as opponents seek leadership election. So public broadcaster NHK in fact said that Ishiba made the decision to avoid a split within the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, and Ishiba's LDP-led coalition lost its upper house majority in an election in July. Let's now take a look at other stories making news around the world. Vietnam Today, Vietnam Television's new international channel, is all set to launch today on September 7, coinciding with the 55th anniversary of the country's first broadcast. The channel will air 10 daily news bulletins in English and other major languages, with young multilingual anchors and a professional production team ready to present Vietnam's news and policies to the world. In Croatia, a village has baked its way into the Guinness World Records with the world's longest strudel line. Using tons of flour and apples, locals prepared 8,940 strudels stretching over 3,136 meters, nearly 3 kilometers. The sweet spectacle, more than 10,000 feet long, celebrated community effort and tradition, earning global recognition for the village. All right, we are slipping into a very short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Jihadists killed 63 in attack on Nigerian town. Anuparna Roy becomes first Indian to win Best Director in Horizonte section at Venice Film Festival. And millions of people across Asia and Europe expected to witness a total lunar eclipse that will turn the moon blood red.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. India's vibrant film scene made a strong mark at the 82nd Venice International Film Festival, wrapping up on Saturday with two notable premieres highlighting diverse storytelling. Debut director Anuparna Roy's Songs of Forgotten Trees, backed by filmmaker Anurag Kashyap as presenter, premiered in the Horizonte section, competing for awards that spotlight emerging talents and innovative narratives. The filmmaker created history, winning the Best Director in Horizonte competition for her film Song of Forgotten Trees. Produced by Bhibanshu Rai and others, it underscores India's push for underrepresented voices on global stages. And India's Information and Broadcasting Ministry organized the inaugural session of WAVE's World Audiovisual and Entertainment Summit on Saturday in Toronto. The event took place on the sidelines of the 50th Toronto International Film Festival. Creative minds, industry leaders and policymakers came together to foster collaborations, co-productions and partnerships between India and the world. Here are some excerpts from what the delegates said at the event. Take a listen.
Now our plan is to talk more about the business of filmmaking, given the strength between the two countries, which is on the people-to-people and cultural ties. That has existed for decades now. It's time for us to for the lack of a better word, monetize those relationships for both countries, and that's in the interest of both the countries. TIFF particularly has expansive plans of venturing into new avenues of collaboration with India, and our associations and our ministry is also geared up for that.
I've been fortunate to have participated many times in different events in India, from FICCI Frames to NFDC-sponsored events, and I'm well aware of the extraordinary talent in India. And my hope is that over the next few years, there's going to be a bridge built, a really strong one, and that we're going to see collaborations, co-productions, people going back and forth.
It's truly a privilege to be here today on the 50th Toronto International Film Festival, celebrating the inaugural for Waves Bazaar. My heartfelt thanks to the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, FICCI, NFDC, and TIFF for creating this important platform that brings India and the world together in the spirit of creativity and collaboration.
A stunning total lunar eclipse dubbed the Blood Moon unfolds tonight across Asia, Australia, Africa and Europe, turning the full corn moon a vivid crimson as it slips into Earth's shadow. Visible to about 6.2 billion people, 77% of the world's population, the event will peak at 1811 UTC on September 7 with 82 minutes of totality from 1730 to 1853 UTC. In India, the penumbral phase will begin at 8:28 PM IST, partial at 9:27 PM and totality at 10:30 PM. Ending around midnight, save for naked eye viewing, the eclipse highlights atmospheric scattering of sunlight casting reddish hues. Astronomers note clear skies in much of Asia. Live streams available for remote viewers. The next total eclipse will arrive in March 2026. Now, India's R&D organization DRDO hosted a conclave to foster collaboration between micro, small and medium enterprises, startups and the defense sector. The event, that was organized by DRDO's Defense Technology and Test Center in Lucknow, aimed to boost the Uttar Pradesh Defense Industrial Corridor by exploring opportunities in defense research and development and production. More than 100 participants from various MSMEs, startups and Laghu Udyog Bharati deliberated upon aspects of skill development, funding for R&D, technical consultancy and technology development and transfer by DRDO. In his inaugural address, DRDO chairman assured that DRDO will provide all possible support to MSMEs to make the nation Atmanirbhar Bharat, leading to Viksit Bharat by 2047. And the India Met Department has issued red alert in West Rajasthan for extremely heavy rainfall on Sunday. IMD has also put Saurashtra and Kutch region and western state of Gujarat under red alert for heavy rainfall, thunderstorm and lightning. Heavy to very heavy rainfall is also likely to be over East Rajasthan, Konkan and Goa and central Madhya Pradesh. IMD has also predicted heavy rainfall at isolated places over northeastern regions of India, eastern state of Odisha, sub-Himalayan West Bengal, southern states of Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and northern state of Uttarakhand. And the situation in Punjab remains critical, with the state government working to provide relief and support to those affected. The India Met Department has issued alerts for further rainfall, which may exacerbate the situation. 46 people have in fact lost their lives so far in rain-related incidents, while 3 other reported missing. Around 2,000 villages submerged in disaster-hit state in worst deluge in decades. Meanwhile, in Uttarakhand, due to sudden heavy rains in Uttarkashi district last evening, the Nagaon stream swelled up. Water and debris from the stream entered the market area and dozens of houses. Some vehicles parked on the road were also swept away by the flow of water. State Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami directed the district administration to carry out relief and rescue operations on a war footing. He also instructed to take the affected people to safe places and provide all possible help. Sports updates now. We'll start with tennis. World number 1 Aryna Sabalenka has edged her name further into tennis history. In New York, Sabalenka defeated America's Amanda Anisimova in straight sets to lift her second consecutive US Open crown. With this victory, she also becomes the first woman since Serena Williams to defend her title at Flushing Meadows. Has more on her landmark triumph.
Aryna Sabalenka delivered another display of power and poise to retain her US Open crown. The world number 1 defeated 8th seed Amanda Anisimova 6-3, 7-6 under the lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium to claim her 4th Grand Slam singles title, all of them on hard courts. Sabalenka stamped her authority early, breaking Anisimova's serve twice to pocket the opening set. But the American, backed by a packed home crowd, fought back bravely in the second set, even breaking Sabalenka when she was serving for the title at 5-4. That only delayed the inevitable. The defending champion steadied her nerves in the tiebreak, eventually sealing the match on her 3rd championship point before collapsing to her knees in celebration. The victory makes Sabalenka the first woman since Serena Williams in 2014 to successfully defend the US Open title. It also extends her Grand Slam final record on hard courts to 4 victories, underlining her dominance on the surface. She now has 2 Australian Open and 2 US Open titles under her belt. At just 27, Sabalenka has firmly established herself as the game's premier force, and with back-to-back US Open titles, she has ensured her place among the sport's greats. Her numbers continue to grow impressive. A 100th career Grand Slam match win, a 34-6 record at the US Open, and 56 victories already this season, more than any other player on the WTA Tour. With 4 titles this year, Sabalenka has taken her overall title win tally to 21. For Anisimova, this was her first US Open final. She had stunned 6-time major winner Iga Swiatek and 4-time champion Naomi Osaka en route to the title clash. Despite defeat, her run has underlined her resurgence and her potential to become a Grand Slam champion in the near future. Aryna Sabalenka's triumph not only secures her 4th major title but also reaffirms her as the undisputed world number 1. Sports Desk, TD India.
And in men's singles, Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz clashed in the blockbuster title contest on Sunday. They have shared previous 7 Grand Slam titles. This is the 3rd consecutive major final this year between them. Alcaraz clinched the French Open before Sinner took home the Wimbledon title. In the summit clash, not only the crown, but the number 1 spot in the rankings is also at stake.
The US Open is set for one of the sport's most gripping contests, when defending champion and world number 1 Yannick Sinner will lock horns with Carlos Alcaraz in the title clash. The top 2 players will clash in the 3rd consecutive Grand Slam final this year. Alcaraz won the first meeting at the French Open before Sinner came out trumps at the Wimbledon. They have clashed 14 times in their professional career, Alcaraz winning 9 times while Sinner tasted success on the 5 occasions. The past 7 Grand Slams have been clinched by either the Italian or the Spaniard, with Sinner taking home 4 titles. Sinner beat Felix Auger-Aliassime 6-1, 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 in the semi-final to reach his 5th consecutive Grand Slam final. The Italian is only the 4th man in history to reach the finals of all 4 Grand Slams in a single season. He joins an exclusive club with Rod Laver, Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. The world number 1 aims to become the first man to successfully defend the US Open crown since Roger Federer in 2008. Meanwhile, Carlos Alcaraz overpowered Novak Djokovic in straight sets in the semi-finals. The 5-time Grand Slam winner has not dropped a set en route to the final. Apart from the crown, the final will also have one additional prize. The winner will take the number 1 spot in the rankings. Sports Desk, DD India.
It was goals galore in India's final Super 4 clash against China as the Indian men's hockey team stormed into the Asia Cup final with a commanding 7-0 victory. India stamped its authority early, racing to a 3-0 lead in the first half. The dominance continued in the third quarter with Rajkumar Pal and Sukhjit Singh adding their names to the score sheet. In the final quarter, Abhishek struck twice, sealing a thumping 7-0 victory. India will take on South Korea in the summit clash after the latter beat Malaysia in the other Super 4s. South Korea is the only team which led India to a draw in the tournament. Both teams squared off in the first Super 4s match, which ended in a 2-2 stalemate. And India's Information and Broadcasting Ministry organized Bharat Parv, a cultural evening dedicated to celebrating Indian culture, cinema and cuisine in Toronto on the sidelines of TIFF 50. Create in India Challenge performers from India came together under the Unbeatables ban and dazzled the audience with their performances on Bollywood songs as well as folk songs from India. Have a look.
खफा खफा तूने न्यू चुराए हैं कि हो अजीब दास्तां है ये कहाँ शुरू कहाँ खत्म ये मंजिलें हैं कौन सी न वो समझ सके न हम साडी गली आजा सानू चौण वाली है साडी गली आजा सानू चौण वाली है
That's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.